The Department of Public Health and Human Services is pleased to bring you Aging Horizons. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, fraud, legal issues, veterans benefits, and caregiving. Aging Horizons is a program dedicated to inform and prepare Montanans on these timely issues, making a difference to you and your loved ones. Here now is today's program host.
Hello everyone. Today on Aging Horizons, we're going to be talking about Caregiver Resources with a couple of folks from AARP, the outreach director as well as one of their volunteers. They have lots of great information, and I think everybody can use a little caregiver support if they have someone that they're caring for in their family, of their friends. This is a good show for you today. We want you to stay tuned.
I have so many questions about power of attorney.
Well, some powers of attorney are for finances and others are for healthcare decisions.
A power of attorney designates an agent who would make decisions on your behalf.
While making a power of attorney, you have the ability to control your agent's power.
You also have the ability to decide when that POA would take effect.
Wait, am I giving away all my rights?
Power of attorney isn't a license to make any decision for you, just those that you've specified.
Your agent should be somebody that's working in your best interest, but it should also be somebody that you would trust.
What if they try to abuse their power?
Protective measures like third-party accounting, secondary signatures, defined spending and gifting limits can help protect against financial exploitation. An agent's powers can always be limited by a customized power of attorney, and they can be revoked by you or the court if the power of attorney is abused.
So carefully drafted estate planning documents can help ensure that your finances are monitored but not abused.
If you or someone you know is being exploited, please report to Aging Services Bureau at 844-277-9300 or the Legal Service Developer at 1-800-332-2272. This message sponsored by the DPHHS Aging Service Bureau.
I take care of my wife at home. When I found out training was available, I said, sign me up. It's made a huge difference.
When my husband was injured at work, it was life-altering. The classes taught me that it's okay to grieve, to ask for help, and to better cope as a caregiver.
My dad lives 4 hours away, and the Powerful Tools classes taught me that it's okay to ask for help. I highly recommend them.
To find out about this course for caregivers, go to powerfultoolsforcaregivers.org.
It's amazing the difference a little training can make.
Questions about Medicare and other types of insurance? Contact the State Health Insurance Assistance Program office to get answers to questions like, what is the difference between Medicare and Medicaid? And how do you decide if you need Medicare supplemental insurance? This insurance counseling program is not a sales program. It is available to provide answers to your insurance questions. For more information, call the State Health Insurance Assistance Program office at 1-800-332-2272.
Hi everyone, welcome to Aging Horizons, brought to you by the Department of Public Health and Human Services. I'm your host, Kimmy Everman, and we're going to be talking about Caregiver Resources today. Really, really important, probably never more important than right now. We've been going through a pandemic, and we have all kinds of things going on in our lives that make these kind of resources so important. We have with us today Nancy Anderson, who is the AARP Montana Outreach Director. Hi, Nancy. We also have LaDawn Whiteside, who is one of the AARP Montana volunteers. Hi, LaDawn. Nice to have you. Nancy, let's start with you. Let's talk about let's just have an overview of the kind of caregiver resources or caregiving resources that AARP thinks are important.
Yeah, we have several options that I'd like to just highlight and talk about briefly. The first one is our online resources, our Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org. So much rich, useful information there. And we also support that with a caregiver support telephone line. So if you're looking to connect with a certain resource or you need some help, call that caregiver support line and they can help connect you. Additionally, since COVID has hit, so many of us are isolated, we're staying at home, and it gets pretty lonely. So AARP has implemented a new program called the Friendly Voice Calls. And you can request a call or request a call for your loved one. And we've got a core of trained volunteers across the nation, really, that will just call up and chat with you so that you can connect with someone so you're not feeling so alone and isolated. I love that new service, and it's been really popular. It's touching a lot of people. Another great resource that I wanted to talk about is our Prepare to Care publication. It has been one of my favorites. I've been with AARP almost 20 years, and I have loved this publication from the get-go. It really helps you no matter where in the caregiving journey you are, gives you good tips and resources. And we're so lucky here in Montana that we have LaDawn Whiteside. You'll hear from her later. She's a very knowledgeable volunteer, and she's now doing video workshops that are a companion piece to that Prepare to Care publication. And I guess the final thing I'd like to tell you about is highlight the Montana Caregiver Act, which the legislature passed in October of 2017. And it's a really very simple protections for caregivers. When you're admitted to the hospital, they add your family caregiver's name onto the information for your admittance record. And then when you're ready to be discharged, they will contact your caregiver and make sure that they get all the aftercare information as well. So that's kind of the highlights, Kimmy.
Yeah, Nancy, that sounds great. And I think, I guess my question to you is why does AARP think that this is such an important sort of project to be on the Caregiving Resources?
Well, you know, caregiving is something that if you're not doing it right now, you have either done it in the past or you're going to in the future. So we all provide care at some level, at some point in our lives. And it's not an easy journey, and you're usually kind of thrust into it. So trying to find resources quickly with a one-stop shop is really important at that point in your life.
Right. And as you said, the COVID just throws a whole another wrench into it, maybe another layer of difficulty. Are you seeing a lot of Montanans reaching out for these kinds of resources?
Oh, we sure are. And we've also heard from a lot of folks that had a loved one that was maybe ready to move into a congregate setting because they could use some increased care, that now they're hesitating to do that. So they're staying with loved ones, or they're being cared for by loved ones when maybe they were ready to move into assisted living. So yeah, it's really upped the game for the needs for caregiver resources.
Well, we all agree that we want to stay in our homes as long as we possibly can, and to have the dignity of our lives maintained for as long as possible. And we can't do that without caregivers, can we?
No, it takes a village, and LaDawn will explain a little bit more about that when she gives you some tips. Mm-hmm. But it's not an easy journey, and AARP is here to help you along the way.
Yeah. And I think I wanted to ask you also about the phone calls. Is that something that's sort of easy to sort of sign up for? I mean, how do you get that in place?
Right. You just need to call and place a request, whether you're requesting it for yourself, which you can. Even as a caregiver, you might be isolated and just alone with the loved one that you're caring for. So whether it's the person receiving care or the person giving care, just call the phone number, say that you'd like to get on the list for the friendly voice calls, and they'll get you right in the rotation, and you'll hear regularly from a trained AARP volunteer.
Wow. And then also about the, you mentioned a caregiver hotline?
Yeah. And it's...
Yeah, tell us about that a little bit.
Right. It's staffed Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern time. So you just need to make that conversion to Mountain time. But it's trained operators who are well aware of all of the AARP resources and also have a directory of local resources for people no matter where you're calling from. They really can help connect you. They're not experts themselves, but they're experts on connecting you.
On directing that traffic. Yep. Well, thanks, Nancy. And folks, we have so much more to tell you about. Caregiving is huge anymore, and many of us are finding ourselves in a position where we never thought we'd be. So the resources and the support of organizations like AARP are very important to us being successful, staying safe and healthy ourselves, and taking care of our folks. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
think the most pleasant surprise when we turned 65 and signed up for Medicare Part B was finding out about our Welcome to Medicare preventive visit.
It was free, and it gave us the opportunity to visit with our doctors and establish a plan for our health going forward.
They reviewed our medical history, measured our height, weight, blood pressure, and counseled us on other risk factors.
To learn more about Medicare's free or low-cost preventive and wellness benefits, call your local SHIP counselor at 800-551-3191. I mentioned it's free, right?
Twice.
Elder abuse is a growing problem, and it's happening right here in our Montana communities. At least 1 in 10 older adults are victims of physical or emotional abuse, financial exploitation, or neglect. To get help or report elder abuse, call your local area agency on aging or Adult Protective Services at 1-844-277-9300.
I was the last guy you'd expect to get diabetes. I was a competitive runner and I always took care of myself. So when I was diagnosed, it kind of threw me. But it's really encouraging to know I'm not alone with it. There are a lot of other people going through the same things as I am. It takes some effort. You have to keep after it. Exercise, meds, and diet are the key. But there are a lot of folks who want me to succeed. Diabetes is not the end of the world. With effort and attitude, you can have a normal life.
No one likes to have to ask for help. It's a courageous act.
Sarah Solomon, Energy Share Coordinator.
Our clients work hard, sometimes at 2 or even 3 jobs, but still struggle to keep the heat on. They're doing everything they can. They're proud and they don't give up. I feel inspired and honored to work together with these Montana families.
To donate, call 888-779-7589 or go to EnergyShareMT.com. Energy Share, you can help your neighbor stay warm.
Hi folks, welcome back to Aging Horizons. We're talking about caregiver resources today with Nancy Anderson and LaDon Whiteside, both AARP connected. Welcome to you both. Nancy, I want to ask you a question about the Prepare to Care. Tell us about, I'm going to have LaDon talk about that in real terms, but you said that can be a kind of a thing that people can sort of get one-on-one help with, or you can have a group that maybe you want to have talk to about that. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. The Prepare to Care is a video workshop that we're offering, and we can do it in one of 2 ways. If you've got a support group or a group of folks that you think could benefit from the presentation, you can request a private presentation to your group. Or we'll also be offering it probably quarterly during 2021, and you can find information about it on our AARP Montana website.
Super. So, LaDon, as I said, you're where the rubber meets the road, because you are the volunteer doing the programs and being out there. Tell us a little bit about this Prepare to Care and the trainings. You've been involved in that a lot.
I have, and as Nancy had mentioned earlier, there's a lot of resources available. AARP has a lot of resources, and the area agencies in your local area have a lot of resources that are available. Most of the resources that we are going to discuss today don't require a cost, and you do not have to be a member of AARP to benefit from these caregiving resources and assistance. For example, the Friendly Voices. You don't have to be an AARP member, and you don't have to be a certain age to access that telephone call. So I just wanted to talk today about some practical tips of caregiving. Mm-hmm. So wherever you're at in the caregiving journey, whether you're thinking ahead or you're in the middle of it, or you're at the end kind of recapping and trying to figure out what you learned and what you need to do next and what you're going to share with your family and friends the next time that the situation arises. But the first thing, and it's the most difficult, and that is to just have a conversation. How do you start that conversation with a person who's your family, your friend, your spouse, whoever it is? How do you have that conversation? And really, it's about taking opportunities where they come. So there's something on TV, or you read something, or you're looking at an AARP bulletin or some other information conversation that happens at the dinner table. Start that conversation with the people around you. It's not just about having a conversation with somebody once they each reach a certain age. It's about having the conversation throughout the lifespan, really. And so when you're having your dinner with your family, or you're having, in this case, your Zoom invite meetings with your families across the country, because of COVID, we're not gathering in groups like we used to. Just start talking about what you want, and let the conversation go to what they want, so that you have some ideas. Look on the library website. I know Lewis and Clark County has a lot of literature on preparing to care. The Prepare to Care booklet is available, and it's basically a worksheet where you fill in the blanks of all the information that will help you or someone else take care of your loved one. And those are available online or upon request with Montana AARP. The next thing that you need to think about is who's going to be on your team. Once you've had the conversation about what a person wants, now you need to think about who's going to be on the team. So start gathering, collecting information, resources, people that fit into whatever your plan is going to be. So give the person that isn't receiving the care the opportunity to say what they want. Give them the opportunity to say what people they want to take care of them, how they want to be taken care of, how much independence they're going to have available, and do your best to honor that information for as long as possible. Then once you have your team established, and that can be paid, unpaid, that can be telephone contacts, that can be direct caregivers, then start breaking down the tasks, and then through conversation, then you figure out who's going to be the best at what. Just because a person's local doesn't necessarily mean that they're the only person that can do something. So really focus on the individual things that each person can provide. If I live out of state, then maybe I can do some online bill pay, or maybe I can be the morning coffee call, or maybe I can be the person that pays for the life alert or something. So there's little things that can be done. Doesn't matter where you live, really. Things can be done to be part of the collection, so we don't leave it in the family roles that have been established for maybe generations and decades, because it's really a community effort. When you need a caregiver, it's not a caregiver, it's a whole bunch of caregivers. It's a community of caregiving. And that's what I like so much about AARP, is that they are trying to bring together all the resources available so that a person doesn't have to make a phone call to 50 different places. Right. You can look at AARP and see those resources available in your community.
Oh, thanks so much for that great overview, LaDon. That really was informative. And folks, you know, as LaDon said, there's many puzzle pieces to this. It isn't just one person or one family. It's a whole village. It's a whole community coming together to do that caregiving. And remember, don't make the decisions for that person. Allow them to have some input. We have a lot more to tell you about. You don't want to miss it, so stay tuned. We'll be right back.
"45 years, 2 packs a day. It's like $80,000. I thought I was just hurting myself, until I fell asleep in a chair with a cigarette. The whole house went up. I lost it all. I knew smoking was expensive, but I never thought it would cost me everything."
The human heart. Even at its strongest, it's a fragile muscle. Chest and arm pain, shortness of breath, are signs of a heart under attack. But 3 numbers can save a life. Dial 911 at the first sign of a heart attack. Quick response from medical experts can save your life.
I was 45 and it happened to me, a heart attack.
Dialing 911 saved Ryan's life. Now he's here
And he's healthy.
This message sponsored by Mission Lifeline Montana.
Every 65 seconds, someone is affected with Alzheimer's or other dementias. Many become isolated at a time when help is most needed. If you or someone you love is affected, help is available, both for people with memory loss and their caregivers. Memory loss can feel frightening, but you are not alone. Call the free 24/7 Alzheimer's Association helpline, 800-272-3900, for guidance and support.
This is Bill. He just received his new Medicare card and is following some simple rules to protect himself from fraud. He knows to never give out his Medicare, Social Security, or bank number over the phone. And this is Nancy. She knows that to detect any problems, she always reads her Medicare Summary Notice or Medicare Advantage EOB to make sure the billing is correct. Both Bill and Nancy know that anything suspicious can be reported to Montana SMP at 1-800-551-3191.
Hi folks, welcome back to Aging Horizons. We're talking about Caregiver Resources today. A couple of great guests from AARP Montana. We have Nancy Anderson. Hi Nancy, so glad to have you. And you are part of the team there, the outreach director at AARP Montana. And we also have LaDon Whiteside, who is an AARP Montana volunteer. And LaDon, one thing you said to me during the break that we have to get to is take care of yourself. Talk about that.
Yes. The last segment, we talked about the difficult thing is to start the conversation. And the thing that I'd like to focus on for the moment is to take care of yourself. If you're a caregiver and recognize yourself as a caregiver, then do as much effort to help yourself and take care of yourself as the work and the energy that you're putting towards the person that you're taking care of. Because, and it's been said a million times, and I'll say it again, if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of somebody else. And along the lines of that is there's a lot of caregivers who are still in the workforce, and probably the majority of caregivers are still in the workforce in some capacity. So don't forget to rely on and use the employee assistance programs through your work and in your area to take care of yourself as a caregiver and get good ideas and tips of things to do for yourself to stay healthy.
And just keep reaching out. Just keep a foot in the real world as much as possible so that you don't get isolated yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. So Nancy, speaking of the EAP or the employee assistance, you know, I'm one of those caregivers that's still in the workforce. How do I manage this? And I know you guys have got some stuff for that.
We do. And I also am a caregiver who is still in the workforce. So it's so important for our employers to understand the toll that caregiving takes on employees. And there are resources that employers can offer to employees in addition to the EAPs, which are also great helplines and help sources. But we do have a publication called Caregivers in the Workplace, and we're going to be reaching out, LaDonna and I, in 2021 to many Montana employers across the state to really share with them why it's important, why they will benefit as an employer by helping to take care of their employees who are taking care of their loved ones. So let us know if you've got a workplace that you think could benefit. Give AARP Montana a call, and we'll make sure and get those resources to the HR folks, the people that can make it happen in your workplace.
Well, and I want to say I love the booklet. I've used that booklet for a number of years now, and it's been great for keeping myself sort of sane and able to continue to, work and be a caregiver. Nancy, should people, do you want them to just really be reaching out, going to all these different resources, and just reaching out the best that they can to try to get some help early?
Right. And, the one thing I do want to emphasize is that all of AARP's caregiving resources are available to anyone of any age, no matter if you're an AARP member or not, and they're all free. So if you want that publication, Prepare to Care, give our office a call or shoot us an email, and we will send it to you for free. Okay. If you want the employers in the workplace, or if you would like to have LaDawn present to your caregiver support group or your book club or your church gardening club, whatever, we can make that happen. Or if you'd just like to find out some of the video offerings that we have available, because we're not gathering in person these days, right. But AARP Montana is providing a lot of information online, workshops available. You can find it on our AARP Montana website.
Right. Thanks, Nancy. LaDawn, we just have a couple minutes left. As a volunteer in this great program, what do you think is the most important takeaway for folks watching today?
There's help out there. You just have to reach for it. You have to ask for it. You have to look for it. Don't believe that you are stuck and trapped and isolated. Believe that there are people, resources that care about you and love you and want to help you.
Yeah. And I think that's really true, that you can get very isolated quickly and feel that you are alone. And I think that you brought so many resources to the table today. Also love that you talked about taking care of yourself. I think we all have heard the numbers that caregivers often die before those they care for. And we want to make sure that people know that there are places to reach out. And again, Nancy, to your point, that no one has to be an AARP member for this. These are resources that are available to anyone in the community. And as you said, if they reach out, you'll send it to them.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Are you seeing a big, Nancy, uptick in that these days? Especially with COVID, are you seeing a big uptick in people reaching out?
Right. Because we're not able to get together and really just talk about our lives and some of the challenges we're having. So it's really important to be able to look for resources kind of in new and different places. And to that end, AARP we're in the process of developing a Montana Caregivers Resource Guide.
Super.
It'll be specific to Montana. It'll be printed and available in 2021.
Super. Well, thank you both, LaDawn, Nancy. Thank you both for coming and talking with us today about caregiver resources. Isn't much more important of an issue than right now, so thanks so much. And folks, we talked about it. Reach out. You're not alone. You don't have to do it alone. You don't have to be alone. It can feel overwhelming. It can feel like you're a hostage. You're trapped, but you're not. Reach out. Give a call, and we will find you some assistance. For Aging Horizons, I'm Kimmy Everman. Thanks for being with us.
Special thanks to the Department of Public Health and Human Services for their continued support. Hosts on Aging Horizons are program specialists at the Montana Office on Aging. Production facilities provided by Video Express Productions. For more information about Aging Horizons, call the Department of Public Health and Human Services toll-free at 800-332-2272.